eyes on me. All eyes on me.
Ninja A-League opening weekend continues from Leichhardt Oval, and the fans are making their way in. The rain has abated, thankfully, and it sets us up for what is normally a marquee match between Sydney FC and Melbourne City. Teams in the tunnel. And so the build-up to this contest is always hotly anticipated. These two sides have met in 4 grand finals, and both will have ambitions of returning to that big stage. But it is simply the foot of the mountain today, which they must climb. And Sydney FC will be hoping that their excellent recent history against Melbourne City can come to the fore. Melbourne City once dominated this head-to-head, winning 8 of the first 10 clashes. But ever since the 2020 Grand Final, it's been Sydney FC who have edged it, and 2 very new, very different-looking teams are kicking off the new season here at Leichhardt Oval. So let's take a look at how the teams are lining up. Sydney FC have just 2 remaining players from the side that completed the home and away season away in Adelaide in the final round of last campaign. 9 new faces. Crucially, one of them, Willa Pearson, will break the record today as the youngest ever A-League women's player at just 14 years old and 302 days. A number of Sydney FC's imports have been left on the bench, including goalkeeper Heather Hinds, forward Jodie Ukekel, and Haitian international Laurianne Moyes. Melbourne City, they have a handful of changes from last year's team that fell in the semi-final. Englishwoman Danielle Turner is in for a start, as is young gun midfielder Shelby McMahon, and also Aideen Keane, who played for Sydney FC season before last. There are any number of potential debutants on the bench, including Nigeria World Cup player Chinaza Uchendu and youngsters Danella Buttress and Isabella Rako. That is the makeup of Michael Matriciani's matchday squad. Ante Juric, the Sydney FC coach, made 7 consecutive grand finals with the team and continues to preside over the outfit, even though they did miss finals for the very first time in club history last season. Michael Matriciani yet to experience a home and away season defeat in charge of Melbourne City, and the club's unbeaten run in home and away now extends to 27 games. But crucially, no championships to show for it since 2020. Back-to-back premiers by finishing top of the league in home and away, but they are not able to get the deal done in finals. Of course, at the start of the home and away, all you can worry about are the games in front of you. Molly Godsell is today's referee, with assistants Maggie Price and Claire Green, and on referee exchange, the 4th official is Abby Hendry from Scotland. One of the Sydney imports that is starting today is Riley Tanner. We saw her playing for Panama against the Matildas during the off-season, where she impressed. And Andy Harper even flagged in commentary of those games that perhaps she'd be a perfect fit for the Ninja A-League. Well, it was spoken into existence. And Holly McNamara, what has she got in store? The reigning Golden Boot. And so the reigning Golden Boot, Holly McNamara, she is just 3 goals away from becoming the outright all-time top scorer for Melbourne City, and given that she did score 2 hat-tricks last season, you can't rule those sort of things out. Back from Matilda's duty, looking happy with the situation as Melbourne City in their away kit are ready to kick off a new campaign. Will this finally be their year? They suffered the heartbreak of penalty shootout defeat in the Asian Women's Champions League final, and of course infamously fell over 2 legs to the eventual champion Central Coast in the grand final. But that is in the past. It is a new season now, and Sydney FC's redeemed team, hoping to break back into finals after missing for the very first time, are ready to get things started here at Leichhardt Oval. that whistle gets us underway. Just the second game in round one of the 2025-26 Ninja A-League season, and Sydney FC kicking off against Melbourne City. Straight away, Mackenzie Hawkesby to Amber Luchtmeyer. Are we about to see Sydney FC rush from kickoff? No, says the American Taylor Otto, who clears out for a throw-in. And I'm pleased to be joined in commentary by former W League champion and Matilda Grace Gill. Grace, great to see you again for a new season.
Great to see you too, Teo, and great to see two powerhouses of this league, of this competition, going head-to-head again this afternoon at Leichhardt. Always good scenes at Leichhardt Oval. And there's a huge redemption year ahead of the Sky Blues. So much to do to recover from last season, their worst ever finish in the history of the A-League.
Tori Tumeth here to Amelia Casa. Her first start in the Ninja A-League was a wanderer last season. Came off the bench 4 times, the teenager. And here she is on the ball, linking up with Hawkesby, trying to create Casa. Into the box it goes, shot from Galich, and then cleared by Otto, and finds safe passage in the form of McMahon. The referee takes a tumble, but the players, Sarah Hunter, battling for possession against Letitia McKenna. Grace, it's been a hectic start. Holly McNamara is going to try to find a way past Tobin here, cross into the middle, sliding on, half a chance, City still, 18 Keane, her first game in new colours. Looking for McKenna, the ball takes a deflection, Tumeth can't clear. And Keane knocks the ball back into midfield, Rebecca Stott. Shouts of handball not heeded by the referee, Molly Godsell. The fans certainly made their voice heard. Davidson trying to step out of the traffic. And Keane, Tumeth in a tangle, and a free kick given, and a chance for everyone to just absorb the fierceness, the flurry of the beginning of a new season.
Well, flurry is a great word for it. It started in a real flash. Transitional, end-to-end, a bit of heat behind it, a bit of feeling in the challenges. Tori Tumeth does not take a backward step, and this a good chance, a good opportunity for Melbourne City to start on the front foot. Letitia McKenna over the ball had a wonderful season last year for Melbourne City. And it will be a real test for the first appearance in goal for Tiana Robinson.
Well, she had 6 goals coming into last season. Letitia McKenna scored 6 alone last season. And this curving free kick here, asking questions. Defender and keeper in a massive mix-up. And Tiana Robinson is down, but well, she might be hurt, but the goalkeeper's number one priority, as she would see it, is to keep the ball out of the net. And even though it's ricocheted off the face and the trainers are being called, at least Sydney FC are not 1-0 down.
Well, it's a test and a question that needed answering, and Tiana Robertson was off her line quickly. Miscommunication at the back, and the touch ricochets directly into her face. She had come to claim. It wasn't all too convincingly, I've got to say. She's back to her feet, which is good to see. But nervy moments at the back for the Sky Blues.
It was a massive call from Ante Juric to leave his import goalkeeper, American Heather Hinz, on the bench for Tiana Robertson, who's come across from Newcastle. And even though she's dazed, she's been given the all clear by the medical crew, but still has to defend a corner here. Alexia Apostolakis had a number of assists from corners last season. Can she reproduce here? Well, the link-up was with the American Taylor Otto a couple of times, and Sydney FC have done their homework, steering that out for a goal kick.
Oh, this is another look at the little touch off the boot of Tori Tumeth that flew directly into the on-rushing Robertson. And you can see early Sydney thinking about trying to play short, but City are pressed high. Numbers right on the edge of the box in McNamara and McKenna.
So Robertson takes the restart. First head Melbourne City, Leah Davidson. Given away by Fenton to McNamara, the last player. You want to give it away too because she can glide past defenders, crosses the ball, and McKenna blocked away. Tumeth crucial. A shot on target for Melbourne City, and Holly McNamara at her creative best there to play in McKenna.
Yeah, well, that's her strength. So powerful, so strong running down the right-hand side is Holly McNamara.
Sydney FC, this time a handball will come to their aid after Davidson deflected it.
Shrugs off 1, 2, 2.5 Sydney FC plays, that's a really, really good chance for Melbourne City, the Premiers, to get scoring underway. Well blocked by Tori Tumeth, positioned really, really well to get in the way of that one, but I would say an early warning sign.
Up and underheader from Danielle Turner, the Englishwoman, in her first Ninja A-League game today. Bianca Garlich scored the decisive penalty in the shootout for the grand final, wearing the colours of Central Coast Mariners last season. She's on to her 4th Ninja A-League club now. Back pass from Otto. Maybe only Rebecca Stott, the one player you could trust there. Casa finds Hawkesby. Back to Amelia Casa. And it sits up kindly for Garlich. And a shot on target saved by the Spanish goalkeeper, Malena Mires. And Garlich previously at Wanderers Canberra and the Mariners, introducing herself to the Sydney FC faithful.
Well, good chance for Sydney. And City will want to tighten up that defensively, just allowing Sydney FC's attackers a little too much time.
Here's Riley Tanner, the Panama international. Played in the World Cup here in Australia in 2023 as the ball bends out to the wing. Garlich. Really nice move to lose one defender, and that was Stott, no less. Davidson's clearance, shallow. So much nervous defending, and the press of both teams is causing all sorts of panic out there. You feel like who scores first could be absolutely crucial in setting the tone and little tactical victories. And a chance for things to calm down at the feet of Sarah Hunter to Madison Asen. It's come across from Canberra, the United States and Philippines national, who's still just waiting on the paperwork to go through so she can represent the Philippines national team. Here's Casa, over the top for Hawkesby, off and running. Luchtmeyer making space in the middle. Otto comes across to create a one-on-one, and Hawkesby is held up. And attempting to win a corner kick, unsuccessful in doing so. Hawkesby was playing as a centre forward at times last season, Grace, but the off-season has given Sydney FC the chance to replenish their stocks and return her to the midfield.
I think that's where she's best in terms of her output, her work rate. Mackenzie Hawkesby has just got that engine that keeps going and going, and now the return of Sarah Hunter and the introduction of Bianca Garlich, who I think is a really excellent pickup for the Sky Blues. That is a formidable midfield.
Flicked on by Keane. McKenna, first-time ball. Willa Pearson, the 14-year-old, breaking the record today as the youngest ever player in the Ninja A-League. 18 years of history. And at the start of season 3, she was not yet born. At December 24, 2010. Extraordinary that she's made this rise. I've got to say, Grace, I've seen her play, albeit 2 years up at the last 2 emerging Matildas championships, which is under 15s and under 16s. So she is a very capable player, one of the best players against players her age. But talk to us about the step up of playing against adults, and Holly McNamara, no less, who she's marking right now.
Well, from all accounts, a really good athlete as well, Pearson. Not just dual sports, multi-sports. Perhaps the Elise Perry of 2025. A really handy cricketer as well. But it's a huge step for a young player, 14 years old, no less, coming up to play against women, to play against Holly McNamara, to play against some of the strongest opposition. And she's got a big, big task on her hands this afternoon. Looks comfortable so far.
And her coach in those New South Wales state teams was former Matilda, long-time Matilda, Anissa Tan. More than 100 caps of experience educating her in her New South Wales State League teams. So she's had some good mentors, but it's still only the start of the journey now in the National League. Here's the clearance from Asen out into open space. Casa, who's made a bright start, really relishing her first start in the Ninja A-League. Not to be forgotten, she's only 17. And a bright prospect as well in the young Matildas most recently selected. And while all the focus is on the AFC Women's Asian Cup in March, not to be forgotten is the Under-20 Asian Cup in April, which so many of these Ninja A-League players will be vying for selection for in that team as well. So there's multiple priorities on the go for Ninja A-League players. Win the 3 points every weekend and get your name in lights for either senior or junior national team selection.
That's a great platform to do so. Asian Cup just around the corner. Of course, Holly McNamara, one of the 2 A-League women players called up in the most recent camp alongside with Michelle Heyman.
And of course, later today on Paramount Plus, you'll be able to watch, and on 10 Online as well, streaming for free, you'll be able to watch potentially Tamiki Yallop, Chloe Lincoln, Grace Quilamu, and also Sian Fryer at the Brisbane Roar. So it's a day filled with potential Matildas call-ups in the Ninja A-League. Roar taking on Victory later today. And the only result in so far was Perth Glory's 3-1 win against the Western Sydney Wanderers at Wanderers Football Park last night, as we wait for the first goal in this one. And it feels like it's not too far away if the first 11 minutes are anything to go by. Here's Turner. Diagonal ball. It's going to be pursued here by McMahon, who does keep it in, avoids giving away a goal kick, but does give away a throw. McMahon, who scored in both the semi-final and the final of the AFC Women's Champions League at the end of last season, was in splendid form to end the campaign. Otto rises for a header. Hunter. Otto again, and now Hawkesby trying to bring the ball to ground. Sets a task for Casa. Turner will lead her to the ball. Mirez. Ante Juric prowling his technical area. There's Michael Matriciani in his second season. Still yet to experience defeat in the home and away, but Melbourne City ultimately went out in extra time of the second leg of the semi-final to the Central Coast Mariners last season. An undefeated home and away campaign, but didn't actually make it to the grand final in the end. Here's Leah Davidson moving through midfield. Sydney FC backtracking. McNamara, all roads lead to her at the moment. She's able to skip past Tanner, lift in across, and Keane with an up and under header. Robertson challenged in the air. Keane blazes away.
Well, not a bad build there for Melbourne City. Again, it's Holly McNamara who shakes off Tanner far on the right-hand side. And this is going to be a real test for Robertson. The aerial threat, McKenna just using her body well, putting a little bit of pressure, and she's really got to secure those claims on the first time.
Ason's clearance was deflected out by McKenna, so Sydney FC down in the corner. Tori Tumeth is going to take the throw in. Letitia McKenna finished last season in career best form, was a young Matilda, yet to get that call for the seniors. And her younger sister Tian, who is a Perth Glory player, actually went into a national camp for the Croatia women's national team. Croatian on her mum's side. Letitia still yet to answer the call, of course, as we see an attempted shot here, which is blocked from Hughes. We do have a Croatia international out there today, Bianca Galic of Sydney FC, Australian born and raised. So a corner kick and a chance for Taylor Otto to get forward. And Danielle Turner is going to run over and take the corner on the right-hand side for City. Previously played for Aston Villa and also Everton in the Women's Super League in England. Bringing plenty of experience at age 34. Turner's corner, in-swinger. Robertson bats it away, only as far as McMahon. Fenton, and now a shot blocked by Tanner. McMahon prominent, and it's consecutive corners for City.
That's a nice delivery, that, from Danielle Turner into a dangerous area. Relatively uncontested to Robertson in goal. But you see the quality of the service, and that drops it right on that difficult place to defend in the 6-yard box. Plenty of numbers coming through.
It was a really nice first corner from Turner. Let's see if the second one can replicate it. It bends it again. Robertson up and under fists. And Stott is watching it bounce out, but the referee's seen a foul on Tanner. So rather than 3 corners in a row, Sydney FC get the chance to clear.
Just a shove through the side from McNamara. But Riley Tanner really did impress for Panama when they played against the Matildas. She was the standout in the games, terrorised the Matildas' defence, shows good speed, backs herself.
And it's in stark contrast to her club situation where she just couldn't get a game in the USL for the Spokane Zephyr. So Sydney FC offering game time, I think, would have been a pretty good fit for her, given that in the second American Professional League, she wasn't really breaking through. Had previously been on the books of the Washington Spirit in the NWSL and went to college in South Carolina. If you're wondering how she was eligible for Panama, it's because her mother was born in Panama City, and that connection allowed her to qualify for citizenship and represent them both in the World Cup and when they came to Australia to play against the Matildas. Luchtmeyer with a flick header that's going to find its way out. The game has just calmed down after a pretty hectic first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that opening 15 minutes was frantic, and fair to say it could have been a goal apiece. Really good chances at either end. One blocked well by Tumeth at one end, and the chance at the other for Garlich was into the hands of Mirez.
It's worth remembering that due to Unite round, these teams played 3 times last season. Sydney FC took the lead in all 3, and yet only had 2 draws and a loss to show for their efforts. Kasser with courage wins the ball away from Otto, nearly sending Luchtmeyer away. Mirez able to lift a clearance onto the head of Hunter. Kasser, a bouncing ball to control. Here she is on the ball. Waits for the run of Tumeth, the right back, getting forward. And it did catch a deflection off Turner. Sydney FC's turn to show us what they can do from a corner kick.
Well, little touches in the middle of the park at the moment. Sarah Hunter just nudging that one forward, wearing the captain's armband on her return to the Sky Blues. That's a big call for Ante Juric. You've got the likes of Hawkesby, Tumeth out there. Experienced players. Hunter straight back in, straight with the captain's armband.
Mackenzie Hawkesby loves to drift a flat corner. This one is straight onto the head, though, of 18 Keane. As a former Sydney player, probably well prepared for the Hawkesby corner routine. And she's trapped offside here, which gives us the chance to go down to the sidelines. Kat Haddad, your observations on the first 17 minutes.
Well, after some rain this morning, it is absolutely beautiful to see how many fans have come, filled out these stadiums, cheering behind me, having a great time. The weather has absolutely turned on, and you can see these people enjoying the Shark Flex Breeze fan zone. They've got their picnic chairs, their picnic rugs, just enjoying the sunshine that is creeping out of the clouds. And it is a beautiful afternoon, a great way to set the tone for the Ninja A-League.
I've got to say, Kat, I'm loving the amount of merch I'm seeing. Fans wearing Sydney FC kits, Matildas kits. You're never too far away from just die-hard fans carrying posters of the Sydney FC team. Here's Tanner driving across the face. On the tight angle there, Riley Tanner backed herself, but ultimately it slides out for a goal kick.
That's what she's capable of. We spoke about it, about her quality for Panama against the Matildas. The confidence to take on a player 1v1, a little shift of weight, and just is shown enough space. Apostolakis doesn't close that ground between herself and Tanner. And on that left foot, just steering away from the frame of the goal.
Of course, Apostolakis would have plenty of familiarity with Tanner, having heard him. We'll come back to that. Here's Garlich. And going for the cutback, it's out off Davidson for a corner. So Apostolakis made her Matilda's debut, picked up her first cap against Panama over in Bunbury in Western Australia during the off-season. Sydney FC were sharp there. Bianca Garlich has been everywhere in the first 20 minutes of this match. So another corner, this time Hawkesby from the left-hand side. Again, it is driven to the near post and sliding in for the opening goal. Madison Asen might have been the closest to it, but it looks like no one's distinctively claiming it. And after 2 goals last season in the colours of Canberra United, the forensics will tell us if Madison Asen can claim the credit for a 3rd Ninja A-League goal.
On the Harvey Norman replay, it's a wonderful delivery into the box, a dangerous area from Hawkesby. And when you get that kind of service on a platter, congested area, difficult for the goalkeeper to reach. And Maddie Asen, a great aerial threat, rises above the rest. She beats none other than Rebecca Stott to the challenge. nods it away for the Sky Blues to go ahead. This is an important goal. Sydney lead.
So Asen, both her goals last season were aerial, and that one too did catch a bit of a deflection off Rebecca Stott as well, but we're going to credit her with the goal. A third for the US-Philippines dual national, and I'm sure Philippines international coach and Australian Mark Torcaso watching on will be delighted to see his centre-back scoring and giving Sydney FC the lead. And Grace, that's now 5 consecutive games that Sydney FC have taken the lead against Melbourne City. Last season they weren't able to win any of them, but they have set the tone once again today, and the gauntlet is thrown down to the defending premiers of the competition to try to come back again. They went behind. It was a 23 home and away game season last year, Grace. They went behind in 9 games and still managed to finish the campaign undefeated. So we know they are capable of a comeback.
Well, one thing City does really well is not panic in situations where they're either behind or they don't have as much control of the game as they'd like, because they will get their foot on the ball, they will find a bit more possession and have patient play. And we see immediately here, not rushing, just slowing things down, and Sydney FC sitting back in their shape and just waiting for the moment to pounce. Plenty of football to be played in this one yet.
Here's Rebecca Stott venturing forward. Apostolakis creating a bit of width on the right side. Sat down Tanner, keeping the ball. Hughes. Now Turner. Sydney have got a very organised midfield, and Melbourne City waiting for the right pass to present. They go and reset with Taylor Otto. Bit of a hush has fallen over Leichhardt Oval after the excitement of the first goal of this game. McKenna able to shrug Hunter. Turn and face and shoot. Asen with a block. Hunter, and now Tumeth, a sliced clearance. Ante Jurich's body language saying to calm down on the sideline there. Sydney had possession and then quite hastily just volunteered it straight back to Melbourne City. Hunter able to put a foot in and win the ball. And then late contact is able to draw a foul. Sarah Hunter, her 47th Ninja A-League game today, 7 goals. And when she was away in France, as we see how she won the foul here, she did only play 18 total appearances. 4 of them were in the European Women's Champions League, 14 league appearances, nothing since May. So, as you discussed in pre-game, Grace, yourself, Ashley Sykes and Kat Haddad, the importance of game time for her. She is a capped Matilda, and she is one of the players earmarked to step into regular international football in the future.
Well, the fact that she hasn't played since May, or competitively since May, she looks really good, Sarah Hunter. She looks fit, she looks mobile, and as I said a little earlier, she's been given the captain's armband. So obviously Ante Juric has seen enough from her in this pre-season that she's got the start, she's got the armband, and she's looked really involved in this opening 20 or so minutes.
She's got happy memories of playing against Melbourne City as well. It was her match-winning goal in the 2022 semi-final that put Sydney FC into a grand final at Melbourne City's expense. Here is the goal scorer, Madison Asen. And a long ball here. Amber Luxmeyer can go and chase. Otto coming across. Otto protecting the ball. Mirez got to clear hurriedly here because Hawkesby was coming in from the blind side. Now McKenna, and the Sydney press, which has been effective, rushing Melbourne City at times, forces an outlet pass, bouncing away from Holly McNamara. Through comes Pearson. And the ball will bounce down to Milena Mirez. She did get better as the season went on. She's now 25 years old, the former Spain youth international. Certainly had a few rickety moments playing out from the back, getting caught by long shots, but Melbourne City have trusted her to bring her back for a second season. Probably played her best football in the Asian Women's Champions League right at the end of the campaign. So about a quarter of the way through today's action, and the game has settled with Sydney FC taking the lead thanks to Asen. Only 24 years old, just entering the prime of her career. Hughes, quick 1-2 with Turner, and then just lobs a ball. Asen wins the aerial duel against McNamara. Hawkesby, Garlich putting her body around, and then onto the ball. Great commitment from the Sydney midfielder. Here's Casa, isolated against Turner. Will she take her on? Decides to veer inside instead. A drifting cross, and claimed by the goalkeeper.
I really like that from Casa. Got her eyes up and saw the run forward. Ball didn't quite have the shape on it needed, and Mires was off her line well.
Well, the thing about Amelia Casa that makes her stand out is her passing range and her creativity. So watch out for more of the unexpected, perhaps, as she plays out on that wing. Stott, McMahon spills the ball to the advantage of Davidson. McKenna looping over to McNamara, watches it over her shoulder. Is that a handball against Kirsty Fenton? Molly Godsell right on the scene, shake of the head, and the ball is cleared.
Well, both Holly McNamara and Laura Hughes were pretty sure it was.
I'm willing to say that's the chest. I think chest or shoulder. It's certainly not hit the outstretched part of the arm.
Yeah, I think that's a good call from referee Molly Godsell. Was positioned really well.
Sliced across here will go out for a goal kick. Of course, there is no VAR in the Ninja A-League. Molly Godsell's in her third season now. She has been a previous Football New South Wales Referee of the Year. Just giving up the cornrows, Grace. What happened? Doing the cornrows last season. One of the rising referees, was in charge of a couple of finals last campaign. It's a crucial pathway for women's referees. We currently have two over at the Under-17 Women's World Cup. Lara Lee and also Emma Kotzbeck. So the pathways for referees in Australia are opening as well. We've had referees in FIFA World Cups for seniors. We've got a heap of VAR officials that go to men's World Cups. And it's proven to be a pretty good pathway.
Yeah, very good exposure. Lara Lee and Emma Kotzbeck deserve it in those positions as well.
Series of throw-ins and clearances here down the right-hand side. Tumeth, a former Melbourne City player, club that gave her breakthrough in her early 20s after not being able to find a way into the competition as a teenager. Here's McKenna. McMahon, quick head check in midfield. Sees Apostolakis driving down the right. Just bided her time and then played it into the middle for Davidson. Now Apostolakis. Sydney FC have managed to get numbers back. McKenna, Keane, McNamara, Tumeth with commitment. Front on challenge. The ball spills to Casa. Long pass. We've seen this a few times where they've tried to set Luxmeyer away, but Taylor Otto has had everything covered getting back in defence.
Well, she's a clever defender, Taylor Otto, and reads the flight of the ball really well. That long ball down the line. Not working for Sydney, whether it's Otto, whether it's Stott, Apostolakis coming across just to provide cover.
Luxmeyer able to win the ball, and the whistle brings groans from the crowd. Defending from the front there, Amber Luxmeyer. Just the one goal last season, but it was her first campaign. She's hoping for more after playing for the Bulls Academy, formerly known as Northbridge FC in the off-season. She's prolific at NPL level, but wants to bring it to the national stage, make that step up. Davidson, intercepted by Fenton, trying to set Garlich away. Hughes, McNamara, look at Pearson, the 14-year-old, not taking a backward step. Solid body check on McNamara and won the ball. I heard Ash Sykes say pre-game that she plays, going to break the no Sharon rule, Aussie rules, Grace. Maybe a little bit of that creeping into her play.
Well, really good defending that from Willa Pearson. Not afraid to use her body position well. A fair challenge up against McNamara, and we've seen her do that a few times. Pearson just checking in off the line, keeping close to McNamara, and she looks really comfortable. She doesn't look overawed by the situation, by her age, by who she's up against. I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far from the 14-year-old.
Here's Stott on a winding run. Fenton deflects the ball. McNamara. Apostolakis. And McNamara from a standing start. Stott. Couple of deflections on the cross. McMahon and Robertson can only parry. Casa trying to clear to safe passage and finds Tanner. Danger not yet averted. City win the ball back. Well, a few times we've seen Tiana Robertson's preference is to either punch or parry rather than catch. And it means that the defenders have to be on high alert for any spill. Hughes. Hawkesby trying to shark the return pass to Watto. And City have thought it through, been able to keep their passing chain going until it found Tumeth.
A little look at the cross that came through and the parry, as you mentioned, Teo. I think that's the right decision there from Robinson. Maybe fortuitously fell to traffic that wasn't from the opposition team.
Pearson clearing away. Be a big thrill for her home club, the Belrose Terry Hills Raiders, which are in the Manly Association. Sydney fans have got the drum back for another year, providing the soundtrack to the game at the moment. And they'll be happy with what they've seen from their side so far. More than half an hour gone. There are the fans, of course. Split loyalties today because Sydney FC's men are playing up the motorway in Newcastle later this afternoon, but great to see a loyal following also here for the Ninja A-League. Stott drops the shoulder, shooting from distance. And Rebecca Stott's wait for a goal in the Ninja A-League is dating back to December 2023 now. She has 7 in her 145-game career.
Well, she's silky on the ball, Rebecca Stott. Comfortable to carry the ball forward, comfortable to get a strike away. Technically, didn't quite have that one right. Leaning back just slightly, and that one's rising into the stands behind the goal.
Ason's header. Keane. Garlich takes possession and spins away from McKenna. Casa. That pass out for a City throw. McNamara. No foul given. She appealed to the referee, trying to spin her defender. Now the whistle goes. And it looks like it's an offside call. It gives us the chance to go back down to the sideline. Kat Haddad.
Hi guys, just an update. You might have seen the Sydney FC team wearing black armbands. It is to acknowledge the passing of Mackenzie Hawkesby's boyfriend's mother, Senka. So we pay our respects to her, and it's lovely to see the team coming together to do so.
Thanks, Kat. And no doubt some of our more eagle-eyed viewers would have been seeing the armbands and wondering why, so thank you for the context. Keane hard against the line. Doesn't feel like Melbourne City are applying a huge amount of pressure. They've got lots of possession, but are they starting to turn the screws or not? McNamara, the sort of player who can turn passive into very dangerous in the blink of an eye, able to win a throw-in here.
Well, it's been a few occasions, McNamara up against a defender, just showing the defender a little too much of the ball. Needs to protect that first touch, take it away from feet. She's got the speed, we know that much. She's definitely got the ability.
Luchtmeyer against Otto. Stott back to cover. The Kiwi international with more than 100 caps to her name. She's seen it all before, Rebecca Stott. Able to cool things down and get Melbourne City back on the ball. You see Mires more than happy to step out of her penalty area, the goalkeeper, to join the build-up. Otto and Stott, the two centre-backs, now to make a decision about where to try and probe against this set Sydney midfield. Turner, straight onto the head of Asen. Sydney happy to just sit behind the ball at the moment and watch Melbourne City go side to side. Whenever they engage, there's always someone there to win a header, to make a tackle. And again, Garlich able to repel and now try to launch a counter-attack with Tanner, and she's left a boot in here. And this might be the first card of the game. Rebecca Stott, the player, felled, and Riley Tanner receives a yellow card. So first player to be booked in this match.
Yeah, the referee quick to reach to the pocket for that yellow. The ball was up and away, and Tanner's trailing leg colliding with Stott.
So Riley Tanner playing out on the left wing at the moment. Have to be careful for the rest of the time she's on the pitch. Interestingly, Melbourne City go backwards from the free kick to Mires. Pearson with the header. Hunter, and as far as Stott. Kostelakis. And City happy to cycle the ball over to the left central channel, and now all the way over to the left sideline. Turner, Casa right there on the scene, and is able to harass her out of possession.
It's good pressure by Casa. I think Turner's just got to protect that first touch as well. She does apologise to her teammates. They're the moments that City are trying to build and find a way out. They're struggling to play through the midfield because it's clamped down really well. It's a congested midfield. There's a lot of quality in there, but what we're seeing from City is not able to find a way through. More long balls like this one, searching over the top, and Sydney happy to just set their defence.
Keane. He's got runners breaking ahead of the ball, but that pass held up McMahon and just slowed the pace of the attack ever so slightly. It is interesting that Michael Matriciani's pre-season thoughts were about his team not scoring enough, needing to create more and finish the chances they did create. It's always hard to get a read on the form line in pre-season because so many friendlies and matches are against boys' academies, and then you only get a handful of friendlies, maybe one or two against other A-League women's teams. City played Victory and Adelaide in pre-season. And they lost 1-0 to Adelaide in a bit of a frustrating friendly where they couldn't score. So perhaps some of those issues that the coach identified still need resolving now. Look at that possession in the last 10 minutes. That's just extraordinary. Only one team has the ball.
Sydney seem fairly comfortable with that situation, sitting back in, numbers behind the ball, allowing City to try and probe a way through, and fair play to the Sky Blues as well, because they're frustrating Melbourne City. Melbourne City unable to pick apart what is a well-organised defensive shape from Sydney.
Keane. Turner, first time ball, a good one. McKenna, what's on in the box? Blocked there by Aitchison and then cleared away by Tumeth. Of course, last season, a couple of the big name import players for Melbourne City were the Venezuelan international Mariana Speckmeyer and then the recently capped Mexico international Lourdes Bosch, neither of them returning. Bosch went to Carolina Ascent in the USL, and Speckmeyer went to the English second division to play for Durham. And they were two big guns last season. They were two big reasons that Melbourne City were an unbeaten side. They created and scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, those two, especially together, were prolific. The assists we saw from Lourdes Bosch last season, Speckmeyer in a number of occasions on the spot, able to bury a simple finish. And we saw a couple of chances earlier on this half for Melbourne City, but they're yet to register a single shot on target, which really speaks to that final third.
For long-time City fans, they'll remember the grand final of the season before last, where they completed more than 600 passes for only 3 shots on target. So you imagine 200 passes per shot at the keeper. It's a lot. And at the moment, a duck egg next to that statistic. Can they solve the problem? That's half the battle sometimes. The coach can only do so much. Sometimes the players have got to solve the problems themselves out on the grass. Right now, though, Sydney FC are the ones causing all the problems. Even though they can't keep possession here, Melbourne City are once again stuck back at their halfway line. Stott trying to provide a spark here. Just takes on the midfield single-handedly. There's Pearson winning the ball back for Sydney FC. And now Tanner. Lutzmeyer has run offside ahead of the ball. Meantime, Stott wins it back. Short-lived at the feet of Davidson. Casa working with Tumeth, not quite. Tumeth sees the funny side. Keane frustrated. The throw-in does go Sydney FC's way. Down the line it goes. Turner with a header out. Seconds of regulation before the fourth official lifts the board for stoppage time at the end of this first half. Sydney FC leading thanks to Madison Ason's goal at a corner kick. Turner, a header to Hughes. Hunter. And Tumeth tried to improvise there, but couldn't quite loop the ball around the corner. Concentration, all important at the end of the half. Lutzmeyer. Otto with strength. McNamara. Here's McMahon. Tries to sidestep Fenton. Tanner came in to help. That's a good 2-on-1 piece of defending from Sydney FC. And now Fenton is happy to turn and protect the ball. Back to Pearson. Plenty of trust in the 14-year-old. The clearance only as far as Hughes. Hawkesby battling. Now Davidson. Holly McNamara. Can City finish the first half with a bang? The cross will evade 18 Keane. And as we tick into 1 minute of additional time, it's hit the corner flag and hasn't gone out. It's a live ball that's stopped down on the line. And now Tumeth and Keane go and contest, and now it finally finds its way out. Never take your eye off the ball.
Well, a couple of moments, it didn't quite equate.
Shot here, and did it cross the line? It has now! McMahon follows in McKenna's shot, and it's the equaliser in first half stoppage time for Melbourne City. It has come at some personal expense for the goal scorer, but it is 1-1, and celebrations are non-existent because it's all concern for the goal scorer. But Shelby McMahon has followed in and scored her third goal, the 17-year-old. The only drawback, Grace, is she doesn't get to enjoy it.
Well, it's a crucial time to do it as well on the Harvey Norman replay, and it's a little give and go, a clever one at that. McKenna, who's been sound all afternoon, and it's McMahon who's on the spot and can bury it into the back of the net. It's the returning Fenton who clashes with McMahon, but what a hit from McKenna to set that up. And what a way, what a moment right at the end of the first half, a crucial point, a crucial moment to score and equalise things here at the break.
And that's what it meant on the City bench. Madison Asen did give Sydney FC the lead, but the equaliser with the final act of the half. There's your goal scorer. She's a little dazed and getting attended to by the physio, but Shelby McMahon has scored the equaliser. Hopefully she'll be able to play the second half. Right now at Leichhardt Oval, though, it is Sydney FC 1, Melbourne City 1. Halftime show on the other side of this short break. Ashley Sykes and Kat Haddad will break it all down. Stay with us.
Spectators must comply with the League's terms of admission and the League's conditions of entry, including provisions relating to security screening and intoxication. Any spectator identified with a prohibited item or assessed as usually intoxicated will be refused entry, prohibited to enter the stadium, potentially banned from attending future games, and handed over to police or criminal correction. We will ask you to respect all other spectators while refraining from illegal and dangerous activities. The A-League's Professional Football Australia and Football Federation Australia are taking a stand against online bullying in Australian football. There is no place for racism, abuse, or hate in our sport. Play it fair. Players are illegal offenders. If you possess or throw a flag, there is severe penalties on the law. Any spectator identified with a prohibited item will be refused entry, evicted from the stadium, potentially banned from attending future matches, and handed over to police for correction. Financial fine may also be issued. We are committed to providing a safe, enjoyable environment for all fans and ask you to respect your fellow spectators while refraining from illegal and dangerous activities. It is an offense for any spectator to enter the field of play without authorization. Any spectator that enters the field of play without authorization will be evicted from the stadium, potentially banned from attending future matches, and handed over to police for correction. A financial fine may also be issued. APL is committed to providing a safe and enjoyable environment for everyone, and we ask you to respect players and match officials while remaining within the seating hall. The The 25-26 Isuzu Asian event and the Ninja 8 weaknesses is finally here. Don't miss out on fun, passion, and unforgettable family-friendly passionate experiences. Tickets are available now. Your leagues, our leagues, AA leagues. Love our UV league with the 7-seat Isuzu MUX SUV. Go your own way. Get ready to cheer. Just like Liberty supporting the leagues, they're on your team too. Whether you're planning a holiday or playing a new mode, they can provide the assistance you need to keep your free easy goals. Liberty. Loads of free things.
Sydney FC taking on Melbourne City. This is your halftime Hungry Jack show. We're going to take you through all the action that we saw in the first 45 minutes. A last-minute goal by Melbourne City to make them square at halftime. There's loads to talk about. Ash Sykes, let's talk about what just happened in that first half, the first 45 minutes of this game.
Yeah, the team started off sort of working each other out, both of them wanting to high press each other, playing out from the box, and we got a goal from a set piece from Sydney FC to start off the goal scoring part of it, but otherwise it's sort of a puzzle piece to start with.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the Harvey Norman highlights as well.
Yeah, we saw Madison Asen get in here for her goal. This is a perfect delivery for the corner, a perfectly worked set piece. You know, they crowded the box, they had plenty of runners in motion, getting in and around the goalkeeper, making it hard for her to get out and clear that ball. And Asen was in the right spot to not at home. A little bit of a deflection maybe off Rebecca Stott, but that's exactly what you want from this sort of set piece. It doesn't matter who it goes in off, as long as the ball goes in the back of the net, and it got them off to the perfect start.
Overall, are you impressed with what you've seen so far today? Yeah,
both teams have been really solid defensively, and Melbourne City had to work really hard for their goal, as we see here, and it came in added time, and Shelby McMahon gets on the back of this sort of deflection, I would say, and gets the ball into the back of the net. Again, not the most clinical sort of build-up, but when you're still trying to work things out in the first sort of game of the season, you know, you'll take what you can get in terms of goals and keep building for a bigger picture later in the year.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the halftime match stats as well, see what all the numbers look like.
Yeah, we saw a lot of possession from Melbourne City. As you can see here, 70% for them, and that sort of settled into in the second half of that first half. You know, they really had a lot of ball. Sydney FC were sort of getting set into their deeper defensive block a lot, and looking to work on the counter. They didn't see much of the ball, but City were happy to sort of possess the ball, give themselves a little bit of a rest when they could, and sort of build their chances slowly and work into the game.
Yeah, Ash, a huge difference in possession in this one, 70 to 30%.
Definitely. Another one is that passing accuracy percentage. You know, Melbourne City pride themselves on their possession football. They're sitting up there at 80%. Sydney FC were sort of working on the counter, happy to run with it and maybe working on the fly a little bit more, but their passing accuracy is a little bit further down.
All right, well, that was the Hungry Jacks halftime show. Don't forget that the Asian Cup is coming soon on 10 and Paramount Plus. It's all the best countries in Asia coming to our shores to play some of the best football, and you can watch it here on 10 and Paramount.
SCV. Experience ultimate matchmaking, Sydney FC, with a range of premium hospitality options suitable for everyone. Sky View Lounge, outdoor boxes, birthday boxes, private suites, and many more. Book now at sydneyfc.com/hospitality. Want to make your next event truly unforgettable? OTTV LED services have you covered. Australia's leaders in LED screens and display solutions. From concerts, corporate events and brand activations, to billboards, movie nights and high-package shows. OTTV LED brings your digital life with the latest in LED technology. Offering higher sales and installation nationwide, they'll light any space, anywhere. Check them out online at www.otvled.com.au and outside the box LED services, lighting up Australia. Sydney FC would like to thank MLI for delivering today's audio system. MLI Sydney specialists in sound, lighting and staging, providing top production across the Sydney coast. From concerts, touring productions, to sporting and corporate events, MLI delivers world-class quality and reliability every time. When it comes to professional event production, there's only one name to remember, MLI.
Welcome back to halftime here at Melbourne City, taking on Sydney FC at Leichhardt Oval. Ash, what do Melbourne City need to do to get ahead in this second half?
Great question. We spoke a little bit about their possession stats just before the break, and what I've seen is that they are possessing the ball a lot when Sydney get in their defensive block. But what we're seeing here is, not that much movement up ahead of the defensive line for Melbourne City. They may be taking an opportunity to get a little bit of a rest because they work hard when they're out of possession. But really, the centre backs here don't have many passing options until it takes an individual effort here from McKenna to turn her player and play it in. What I really want to see is a little bit more dynamic movement up ahead from the attackers of Melbourne City. Try and rotate this Sydney defensive line around and midfield around, because when they do, they create themselves space in between the lines, and then they can turn and run and shoot from there.
Lots of potential ahead in the second half. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this short break.
And the scoreboard on the outer at Leichhardt Oval reads 1-1 at halftime in this Ninja A-League match between Melbourne City and Sydney FC. The home side taking the lead They did so in all 3 contests between the teams last season, and yet they left with 2 draws and a loss to show for it. Will it be a similar story? Melbourne City grabbing the equaliser with the last touch of the half, and after medical assessment, the goal scorer for Melbourne City, Shelby McMahon, is ready to go. That's Sydney's goal scorer, Madison Asen there, who got it in from a corner, and then it was McMahon following up a Letitia McKenna shot that hit the underside of the crossbar and sat up for a knock-in, albeit having to run through the challenge of Kirsty Fenton on the goal line. And so that leaves us poised as we kick off the second half in just the second game of the Ninja A-League season, with the scoreline at 1-1. Sydney FC, the 5-time champions of the Ninja A-League, in Melbourne City with 4 championships of their own. 2 hugely successful sides, hoping to elevate themselves back to the top once again. And there's been no change to the teams at the break. Grace Gill, as you rejoin me in commentary here. As far as substitution strategy, we know that Holly McNamara has come back from international duty just this week. There are a number of new faces, potential debutants, both mature and junior, on both benches. We'll stay with play here as Stott comes in to clear. And now Hunter with a shot that's going to be fielded by Milena Mires. How long do you think before we start to see mass activity on the sidelines?
Yeah, well, I would have thought that would have been sooner, if not for that late equaliser just before the halftime break. I think there would have been a different game plan going into the sheds had Sydney gone in a goal ahead, but not to be the case. So perhaps a few minutes longer to think about it for both coaches, really, for Ante Juric, for Michael Matritrani. I think in the next 10 minutes we'll see some changes come through in the way of fresh legs, because while it's not raining at the moment, the pitch was slick a little earlier on, starting to get a little heavy and leggy, humid afternoon.
Attempted through ball here, intercepted by Rebecca Stott. And playing the ball, attempting to get it out to the left, but headed down by Tumeth to Casa. Trying to protect the ball from Hughes. Hunter comes in to steer it back to Asen. It's great halftime analysis from Ash Sykes. We saw the pitch map there with all the passes being played and how few touches Melbourne City are getting in their attacking third. And it means that Sydney FC are happy to set up behind the ball and just let them pass themselves. They had 291 passes before breaking through for that goal with the very last shot of the half. So 1 shot on target every almost 300 passes is going to be a tough way to do it if that continues into the second half.
Yeah, that's it. And you can have all possession in the world, you can have all of the ball at your feet, but unless you're creating meaningful chances at the end of those passages, at the end of those series of possession, then it really counts for nothing.
Garlich able to win the ball away, and Sydney FC are on the move. Hawkesby into the channel. Hawkesby kept rising. Good opportunity for Sydney FC, though. It just broke so kindly for Garlich, and Mackenzie Hawkesby not able to keep the attempt down. She scored 6 times last season.
It had everything but the finish. A lovely threaded ball from Bianca Garlich. And clever from Hawkesby. She just let the weight of the pass run and continue and hit it first time. I think that was the right decision.
See the first 2 or 3 clearances of the half of Milena Mira. She's had 2 Sydney FC players pursuing her every time. They really do think they can force a mistake or even catch the goalkeeper with the ball, but pressing at one end means gaps at the other. Apostolakis breaks into space, all about the delivery. McNamara overran the ball. Just got it caught under the foot and couldn't take it with her. And Apostolakis there showing what she can do breaking forward.
Oh, well, McNamara knows. That's a really good delivery from Apostolakis, rather. She had 2 options. One was McNamara, one was the onrushing far post in Aideen Keane, making herself available. Picked out McNamara really nicely. Just lost the touch underneath her own feet.
Oh, we're about to see Alexia Apostolakis in a more daring attacking role from that right wing back position. The touch on here by McNamara. Davidson, bash and crash against Fenton. McNamara coming through. McNamara on an acute angle, and good defending from Asen to send it behind for a corner.
Well, top defending by Madison Asen, and I thought McNamara was going to release that chance. She had space and time, and this is a look at the first one, so just tumbling over the top of it, and Hunter manages to avert the danger. But this release of shot there, that second touch, she really closes the angle.
Danielle Turner's corners were on the money in the first half. Will it continue here at the other end? Not the case. Just knocked away at the near post by Garlich. Straight back out to Turner. Otto, the centre forward who came up for the set piece. Turning winger here. Great play by Taylor Otto, but caught by the goalkeeper. Taylor Otto, if she ever fancies herself as a winger, who knows? But she has to return to the centre of defence. And with her up the pitch, Sydney FC are trying for the long ball attack. However, there are 3 defenders back covering Amber Luchtmeyer. And Mirez is able to drive the ball up to the halfway line. Hunter. Casa calling for the ball over on the right. Throw in, and really nice turn from Garlich. The cutback, Luchtmeyer! And a save by Mirez at close range. And Milena Mirez makes her best save of the game.
Well, top goalkeeping, that really well done. The cutback from Bianca Garlich was asking a fair bit of Luchtmeyer. It had a bit of pace behind it, but it was a really good position. Luchtmeyer found herself in good space, and Mirez off her line well, made herself big, closed down the angle. That's a good bit of goalkeeping.
I mentioned Luchtmeyer did only score the 1 goal last season. It was away at Western United in Tarneet as well, so she'd love to find that next goal and a first one in front of the home fans. Here's McNamara. On to Davidson, being held up by Garlich. Now McMahon, City's goal scorer, right at the end of the first half. McKenna and Hughes. Stott. He's going to bend the ball over to the left side of the box. Keane's offside. Frustration for Aideen Keane. And Sydney take the restart quickly. Casa caught in possession by Keane. Is going to commit a foul or not on the way back. Couldn't foul her. Keane continues. Keane saved initially and then cleared away. Kirsty Fenton saves the day after a good initial stop from Robertson to take the sting out of the shot.
Yeah, nicely done there by Robertson. Had to apply the pressure, and it just squeaks its way through. Pressure starting to mount here for Sydney FC. Some good passages from Melbourne City. Robertson, that's important. A really good confidence-building moment.
McKenna inside the box. Sarah Hunter for company. McKenna rolls towards the line. Not able to lift across in, but it's going to sit up for a second bite. Blocked again. Tumeth this time crucial. And then Casa clears it 10 rows back into the seats in the outer. Sydney have sent their subs to go and warm up. Melbourne City, theirs are all seated on the bench. 10 minutes almost into the second half. Sydney won't mind this a chance just to starve Melbourne City of a bit of possession, break their momentum, which has been building solidly. Kaylee Talon-Henniker and Jodie Ukekel are the 2 players warming up, so 2 attackers for Sydney FC. In the meantime, it's City venturing forward, but that is a speculative attempt from Letitia McKenna, and out it flies for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think we'll see a couple of changes in the next 5 minutes or so. That 60-minute mark is when coaches often look to their bench, often look to some changes tactically. Neither side will want to walk away with the 1 point. They'll want to secure all 3, get their season off to a flying start.
And I think even more than the latter, it's just about the mental win that you can get beating a fellow contender. These 2 have got a great rivalry. Melbourne City, in the first 10 head-to-head meetings between these teams, 8 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, up to the 2020 Grand Final, which was the one played behind closed doors at the very beginning of COVID. Since then, Sydney FC, 7 wins, 4 draws, 3 losses. So both teams would feel as though they are the dominant one in this rivalry. Sydney based more so on recent history, including winning the 2024 Grand Final. And And Melbourne City, based on their first ever game in the old W League, was a 6-0 win, not too far from here, over at Lambert Park. They really announced themselves to the competition a decade ago. Here's Tanner, doing really well to roll Apostolakis. And Apostolakis gets back goal side as Tanner decelerates, hoping for Luchtmeyer. Stott comes through and makes the intercept. Fenton has come up the pitch to try to battle for the ball. Has it left a gap? Not quite. Garlich is going to wrestle and hold up Davidson, and in many ways that's a good foul to concede because it allows the defence to get back in position.
Well, Tanner was forward. Just a little bit of grab and grapple, and Garlich just pulling Davidson back into the challenge. But it has been that arm wrestle of a midfield. Garlich up against Davidson, Hawkesby, Hughes, Hunter, McKenna, somewhat nullifying one another in the middle of the park. And for teams that are very capable with the ball at their feet, we haven't seen a great deal of that across the course of this game.
Davidson working with McMahon. Apostolakis, the paperwork's in. It's going to be Kaylee Talon-Henniker and Jody Ukekel coming off the bench, possibly as soon as the next break in play. Right now the 11 on the pitch have to worry about defending as Melbourne City probe the left. Kasser, pop up and under header. Hughes, McKenna, and then a volley to clear the lines from Asen. Keane brings their first touch under control. It's been more prominent in this second half. 18 Keane in the search for another City goal. And here is their goal scorer, McMahon. Stott. You can see how compressed the game is at the moment. The centre-backs are right at the edge of the attacking third for Melbourne City. Everyone cramped in behind the ball for Sydney FC. Luchtmeyer the most advanced of them. Stott. And now Davidson is the long shot on here for Rebecca Stott. And Sydney FC numbers converge. Luchtmeyer nowhere to go, just has to hold up the ball, wait for runners to break. Tanner was the answer in the end, and she's going to keep it in almost to her own advantage, and it's Holly McNamara getting back in defence and drawing a foul. Well, Sydney made a defensive stand without a shot ever being fired, but Tanner's on a card from the first half, and Molly Godsell is talking to her here. Grace, talk us through the foul.
Well, she's got to be careful. Undoubtedly a foul, just that push through the shoulder of Holly McNamara, who was tearing back doing her defensive duties.
And perhaps Ante Juric is wisely subbing off Riley Tanner here without giving herself the chance to pick up a second yellow card. Kaylee Talon-Henniker comes on. She has happy memories of Leichhardt Oval. Her most recent goal in the Ninja A-League was in round 3 last season in the Sydney Derby right here. Tanner's debut comes to an end, and Jody Ukekel, the American of Turkish heritage, comes on. 28 years old, also from the Spokane Zephyr most recently, but she's played for Roma in Italy, Castellon in Spain, and went to college at Gonzaga. So she's well-travelled, bit of a veteran, and 15 appearances for the Spokane Zephyr most recently in the USL.
Well, really interested to see the introduction of Ukekel, to see what kind of impact she can provide. Juric the first to turn to his bench and make those changes, and we've seen in seasons gone by the pace and the impact of a player like Kaylee Talon-Henniker. Jody Ukekel, less known to the A-League audiences, and no doubt will be wanting to announce herself.
Talon-Henniker, who wore the captain's armband in one of the 3 Young Matildas' most recent games as they qualified for the Asian Cup. It's also led to a positional change. Kasser thinks it's a foul. Referee doesn't agree. There's Talon-Henniker. She's gone to the right flank, and Kasser has now switched over to the left, which also means that she'll have the coach, Ante Juric, within earshot a lot more in her remaining minutes in this game. If they are thinking about any other subs, Sydney's remaining players, the Haitian international Laurie Ann Moyes, Alyssa Rose, who would be making her first appearance in the Ninja A-League in 8 years if they were to bring her on, and Maddie Caspers, the young central midfielder. Those are the other outfielders available. Melbourne City Their bench remains untouched, but they are all off warming up at the moment. And they do have the Nigeria international, Chinaza Uchendu, among their subs. World Cup player, AFCON winner. How many minutes will she have to contribute to this game? As we tick up to the hour mark. Here's Stott. Lobs a ball. Pearson wins the header away from McNamara. Stott to the advantage of Davidson. Garlich getting goal side. Great challenge from Garlich. Casa, Ukekel. And now Sydney are moving. Ball over the top. Hawkesby not able to get the better of Otto in the air. Ukekel can't knock Davidson off the ball. Loose touch from McKenna opens the door here. Talon Henniker, her first involvement in the game. Has got it all to do, surrounded by Melbourne City defenders. Kaylee Talon Henniker down the wing, and she's won a corner. Great play from the youngster.
Well, good start from Talon Henniker. Good defending from McKenna again. Just kept pace for pace. Didn't dive in, kept her feet. Letitia McKenna.
Talon Henniker, 19 years old now. Played rugby league for Australia at youth level, but in interviews has said that her love of football has won out in that tug of war between two codes. Here's the corner from Hawkesby, driven to the penalty spot. Tumeth just knocks it back out to the corner taker Hawkesby. Veering away from Keane, and Keane got a slide challenge in at the last second. Hawkesby goes to ground. Molly Godsell has a good hard look and points to the penalty spot. Sydney FC will get the chance to go back in front.
Well, a big moment, the 61st minute. At first, what looked to be really well defended by Aideen Keane. Worked hard to get back, got her body in front. I think it was the second nibble. This one here, just to wrap around, and Mackenzie Hawkesby experienced, knew that contact was coming, and it's a little clumsy from Aideen Keane.
Would you call it a striker's challenge, Grace? You've got to be so careful in the defensive penalty area.
Well, had enough of the nibble. Molly Godsell, the referee, had a really good think about it, paused, pointed to the spot.
Milena Mires did have some penalty saves last season, including from Tamiki Yallop. Mackenzie Hawkesby, the player who won the penalty, will take the penalty. The chance for Sydney FC to go back in front. Hawkesby delivers. Sydney FC retake the lead just after the hour mark, and Mackenzie Hawkesby, calm and composed, putting the ball into the bottom left. And the Sky Blues have the ascendancy once again.
Well, big moment for Sydney FC. Big moment for Mackenzie Hawkesby. This is another look at the foul, and on the Harvey Norman replay, there's the nibble. Enough of a nibble from Aideen Keane, and Hawkesby goes to ground. And that is a solid penalty. Experienced Mackenzie Hawkesby steps up. Leadership, pops it into the bottom left corner, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. And at home, Sydney FC are back in front.
Well, she's closing in on a big milestone, Mackenzie Hawkesby. Today is game number 99 in her Ninja A-League career, and it's her 26th career goal. So it'll be a big celebration next week. It'll be an even bigger one if Sydney FC are going in with one win to their name on the season. Pretty good strike rate for a midfielder, a goal every 4 games.
Well, she's the ultimate competitor, Mackenzie Hawkesby. And we saw a trend across the course of last season of her in and out of the starting lineup, coming off a little earlier in game. She's certainly got the engine to see out 90+ minutes. She wants to be on that field, and that will ignite her. Look at the spark in her step.
Melbourne City have to chase the game again. They are on a 27-game home and away season undefeated run that stretches back over a full season last campaign. Finals may not have gone their way, but they are a home and away force to be reckoned with. Michael Matriciani has a range of substitutes available to him, should that be the way for Melbourne City back in. But they did strike right on half-time at the end of the first half. It was perhaps proof of concept that a first half of struggle and stagnation at times wasn't going to be entirely fruitless. But will we see a bit more urgency in their play here? McNamara around the corner. Davidson is not able to get to the ball before Ayson caught in a pincer movement between two defenders. Now Casa from left back is just going to kick for territory and set Hawkesby a task. And look at the pace of Hawkesby. Closing speed here on Otto, who timed it to perfection to get her back pass back to Meares.
Well, the burst of energy that Hawkesby's got from finding that goal, that penalty, and it's momentum that Sydney FC will want to carry through. 25 minutes of regulation time remaining, so there's plenty of time yet.
March 2, 2024 was the last time Melbourne City lost a home and away game. It was 2-0 away to the Brisbane Roar. Goal scorers, extremely predictable, Tamiki Yallop and Sian Fryer. But that is season before last. That's how long it's been since they've been beaten in 90 minutes in a home and away. As we see the ball behind for a corner, they remain on the attack, Melbourne City. 18 Keane will be determined to make amends after giving away the penalty now.
Well defended by Tumeth on that occasion as well. She's gone to ground and poked that one over the line. It will be a Melbourne City corner.
There is Chinaza Uchendu. Most recently at Nantes in France, has played in Turkey, South Korea, Sweden and Portugal, plus all of the away destinations that her Nigeria national team would have played in. Went to the 2019 World Cup in France as part of the Nigeria squad. And we've got a bit of byplay on the goal line here. Tiana Robertson has hit the deck. Referee Molly Godsell in to sort things out. Aideen Keane, the chief agitator in there, along with the 14-year-old Willa Pearson. So eagle-eyed Molly Godsell on that as this corner comes in from Apostolakis. Where's the run of Taylor Otto to the near post, and Madison Ayson had done her homework all over it. Lofted ball has to be cleared, and Casa does so. And drives the clearance out near the halfway line, and that is going to prompt the first change and a Ninja A-League debut for Chinaza Uchendu, 27 years old. And she's coming on here for Leah Davidson. So that's an interesting switch. Just how much more attacking will that make Melbourne City? And what can Uchendu show us? Of course, Sydney FC, about a decade ago, had Francisca Ordega, her Nigeria international teammate, who also won the 2018 AFCON and went to the 2019 World Cup. So the connection to Nigeria continues. Perth have their own Nigeria international, Onyenyechi Zog at centre-back. So great to see the international sprawl of talent that is still finding its way to the Ninja A-League.
Well, big moment, big minutes for Uchendu, and the impact that Melbourne City need from her.
Pearson slides to the ball and puts it out. They don't really have a long throw specialist, Melbourne City. They'll happily work the ball closer to the box, and Cass's header gets it away. Kekel dispossessed immediately. Hunter cleverly wins a throw. Kekel able to nudge Stott under the ball this time, and then blocks it down. The clearance from Otto. Talon Henniker's over on the right. The pass didn't quite drive her into space though. Talon Henniker trying to re-accelerate, being chased. Otto trying to make amends, and the combination of Otto and Uchendu able to win the ball away. McMahon tried to switch flanks, only picked out Tumeth. Pearson, Hunter, Ayson, Fenton. Hunter sliding in. The ball is going to break kindly for Aideen Keane. Only McNamara ahead of the ball. Keane takes the space on offer and now plays through McNamara. It's Holly McNamara blocked away. And would you believe it, listen to the crowd, it's the 14-year-old Pearson who slid in to make the block.
Well, it's lovely defending. And it was a really good through ball to Holly McNamara, who was lining up to strike it on the first time. Pearson across, goes to ground, gets the timing really well. She's stood up this afternoon in a big way, and she's got another task on her hands. Whether it's McNamara, whether it's Uchendu, this is a 14-year-old playing against international women's footballers.
McNamara McNamara goes to ground, free kick. Hawkesby slaps the turf, and with a super boot like Letitia McKenna out on the pitch, this might be shooting range now. McNamara is down and hurt. You might remember in last season's second leg of the semi-final, she had to leave the game with both concussion and a nose fracture, so there might be a bit of heightened sensitivity there on her nose. Hopefully she's okay.
All those ones make the eyes water, if nothing less. And this range of free kick is spot on, Teo. Letitia McKenna standing over it. We saw last year she's got a wicked strike from a set piece.
And Tiana Robertson, the diminutive goalkeeper, is going to have to be at her spring-heeled best here if McKenna puts this on target. 4 in the wall. Is this City's chance to draw level again? McKenna, well, it was just a drifter. It didn't quite have the venom necessary and ultimately went wide.
Well, certainly not struck with the sting. We know McKenna can hit a free kick. It didn't miss by a huge amount. But she didn't quite follow through on the strike and challenge Robertson.
Here's McMahon. Hawkesby into open space. Kekel is not able to get to the ball before Apostolakis. Maddie Caspers has been summoned from the Sydney players warming up, so they want some fresh legs in midfield coming soon as this game has ticked into the final 20 minutes. Otto. McMahon. McKenna back to goal. McNamara had a free strike inside the penalty area and skies it high and wide.
Well, it's well worked by City, and it's a disappointing outcome. That final strike, McMahon does well just to prod the ball through out from under her. And they're the kind of moments as a striker, as a midfielder, your eyes light up because you don't awfully often get that much time and space to line up a strike. And McNamara, hands to her head, is leaning back.
Sydney taking their time over the throw-in. See, we're cycling through some of the attacking stats there. And the sub is going to go through here. Maddie Caspers is going to come on, still just 18 years old, but up to 33 appearances because she did make her debut so young in this league. Amelia Casa comes off. Her first start in an A-League game comes to an end, and it's been a good showing from the 17-year-old, and she comes off for the 18-year-old Caspers, who is a veteran by comparison, 5 appearances to 33. Some of the great young talent. They're both members of the Young Matildas squad. Otto in trouble here. Talon Henniker, Mirez darting back on her line, and the offside flag is up.
Disappointing in the end for Sydney. They looked like they'd pinched a break and picked the pocket of Otto at the back. Talon Henniker was returning from the offside position. Good pick up by the assistant referee.
Stott. Asen wins the header, second ball, Apostolakis. And now Uchendu swings the right foot through the ball and didn't catch a deflection. The referee says no. Hughes is adamant it did and was a corner kick, but not to be.
A response to Uchendu says it all. Didn't get the purchase behind the strike that she would have liked, would have needed. Fell kindly. Time just starting to tick away. Still plenty of it, but Melbourne City needing to find a little bit more to try and get themselves back on level terms.
Uchendu working with McMahon. Again, the Sydney midfield shuffling side to side, keeping Melbourne City at bay. Looking for an incisive pass. Nice leave, and the 1-2 with Keane. It's 2-2, and 18 Keane has made amends. A goal on Melbourne City debut for her. A really nicely worked 1-2 with Holly McNamara, who gets the assist. And Keane knows that she owed her team a goal, and she's overcome with emotion after making it Melbourne City 2, Sydney FC 2.
Well, it's pretty football, and on the Harvey Norman replay, it's pretty to watch. Really clever, intelligent. The leave is smart, and the finish is really, really tidy from Aideen Keane. There's a bit of feeling behind the celebration. But this dummy here, just that football intelligence by Shelby McMahon to take a chance, to know you'll have a player behind her. The first time touch around the Sydney FC defence makes it really difficult to recover. And Aideen Keane still with a bit of work to do. A simple finish, a neat finish, back on level terms.
Fifth career goal in match number 40 for Aideen Keane. Scored her first career goal against Sydney FC playing for Perth Glory. That was down in Tasmania in a one-off visit to the Apple Isle. She's previously played for Wanderers and Canberra and won Sydney FC season as well. She actually scored her only goal for Sydney FC right here at Leichhardt Oval. So happy memories, and now she returns as a visiting player to find the back of the net. And at 23 years of age, this opportunity to join the defending premiers, Melbourne City. She's been in the thick of the action in this first game, and now Sydney FC, having taken the lead twice, are at risk of being overrun here as Melbourne City advance to the edge of the box. McMahon, so good in the build-up to the last goal. Turner. Otto. Now McKenna ducking over to the wing. Headed off the penalty spot by Fenton. Turner pops the ball to the right. McMahon, good first touch to bring it out of the sky. Apostolakis at the edge of the box. Apostolakis can't find Uchendu as Asen clears. Kekel, now Hunter. Garlich, Talon Henniker, no, not quite the pass. A little too narrow and finding its way down to the goalkeeper.
Well, for all their possession, Melbourne City, it's moments like that that at their very best, it's nice football. Picked apart the Sydney FC defence. Clever play, good one-touch pass around the corner, and the assist from Holly McNamara. Have to say, the neatest goal of the lot for the afternoon. Well worked.
McMahon can't stick the 1-2 with Hughes. Caspers getting into the game off the bench. Fenton down the line, and as the ball tails out, Kat Haddad and our sideline expert, former Matilda Ashley Sykes, have some thoughts on the equaliser for Melbourne City.
Well, I've had the privilege of sitting next to Ashley Sykes for this entire game and viewing it through her analytic perspective. And this dynamic movement from Melbourne City was exactly what she was talking about at halftime. So she's going to talk it through a bit more.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? We wanted to see them peg them back even further, and then one moment of dynamic movement.
We'll stay with play here, Caspers, and as the ball bounces into Milena Mirez's gloves, back to you, Ash, on the sidelines.
Thanks, Teo. One moment of dynamic movement, a little dummy, a little play through the ball, third man run, they're in for the goal. As Sydney get a chance here as well.
Ash, if you had to pick a winner from here, do Melbourne City find another goal, or do you think Sydney FC can kick again?
Oh, I think Sydney's got more in the tank, but I reckon Melbourne City are looking the goods at the moment. They're wearing them down. Sydney getting deeper and deeper into their box. I don't think that's where they really want to be defending.
Thank you to Ashley Sykes and Kat Haddad keeping an eye on things down at ground level. It's McKenna. Oh, McNamara not on the same wavelength. Out steps Pearson to win the ball. Hunter. Uchendu snapping at the heels. Fenton, nice little sidestep. And the ball is played down the left wing. Follow-up comes from Caspers. Hawkesby, little sidestep. Both teams think it's their throw. Sydney FC get the nod. Throw in taken quickly. Garlich couldn't control. McKenna. McNamara trying to roll away, and Pearson knocks her to ground, and a foul, and how about a yellow card on your Ninja A-League debut? Willa Pearson goes into the referee's book.
She's been near faultless this afternoon. Lunging for the ball, gets McNamara's body instead. And looks a little worse for wear after the challenge, just a bit proppy running away from that one.
Kekel challenging Otto, as is Hunter on Uchendu, and they spill the ball. Asen leaves it with Chimeth. 10 minutes of regulation to go here at Leichhardt Oval. Are we going to get a winner in this opening round? And Uchendu with a hard challenge, and that's going to be a yellow card as well. Bianca Garlich, the player, felled, and Uchendu picks up a yellow card.
Yeah, really reckless, that really late, straight through the planted leg of Bianca Garlich. You don't like to see that kind of challenge. Straight to the pocket for the yellow card. Good to see Garlich's return to her feet.
Not suffering any ill effects of the foul, Garlich, so Sydney FC straight back to work. They've taken the lead twice. Can they do it a third time? Casper's working with Hawkesby. Hawkesby. Kekel, edge of the box. The cross goes further, straight to Otto in the middle. Fenton advancing. And now Hunter from distance, but drives it well wide.
And that's better from Sydney, just finding little moments and a bit of space to press through. Fenton, that first touch, just escaped her, and McKenna closed the ground. Made a shot difficult. Hunter tries her luck from distance, is capable from that range.
Sydney FC bench thought there was a foul there for a bit of grabbing and grappling, but they will settle for a throw-in. Antayurich has lost the jacket, the stress of the afternoon, starting to literally turn up the temperature. Kekel challenging McNamara, who kept the ball, and spectacularly so. Now there's a foul, and McNamara is down and hurt again. We saw her take a blow to the face earlier in the half, and the medic is straight out off the bench here. There's a bit of concern for Holly McNamara. Fortunately, this has happened right in front of the Melbourne City bench.
Well, that was what the Sydney FC fans were shouting about, was the hand on the ball, but this second one all the more concerning. That contact just to the face as she went to ground and looked really awkward. Seems to be okay, but just doctors, physios doing all the checks and balances.
Both teams have run to the sidelines to grab a drink and almost use this opportunity as a bit of a strategic timeout. Michael Matriciani full of instruction. Here's another look, Grace, at the collision.
Yeah, and there's no sort of malice behind Fenton coming through to try and win the ball, but just as McNamara's gotten to ground.
Seemingly no desire to sub her out of the game. She certainly doesn't want to leave. There's Kirsty Fenton, of course, just her second game back from a torn ACL that cost her all of last season, bar one substitute appearance in the very last round of the campaign. Almost just to take the anxiety of her comeback out of the off-season. Had Sydney been in finals contention, she might have been coming back a little bit sooner and for a few more minutes, but with them eliminated from contention, they went safety first. And she stepped back in seamlessly today as a result. Talon Henniker, shoulder to shoulder with Hughes, and Hughes has to concede ground, back to Stott. Plays the ball over to Turner. Been informed from the sideline that Antayurich picked up a yellow card as well. Coaches, of course, can get booked themselves. Confirmation of that. Do it again, and he'll have to leave the technical area and serve a suspension for a future game, but on a yellow, same as a player. You can continue in the game as long as you don't transgress again. High bouncing ball. Hunter waiting for it to sit up kindly. Apostolakis. Garlich solid through on Hughes. Referees put the whistle away. Hughes back to her feet. In the meantime, it's McMahon against Hunter, and Hunter prevails. Pearson, neat little turn, evades Holly McNamara. She's loving life out there in the Ninja A-League. Garlich down the line. What a move this would be if Sydney can score at the end of it. Hawkesby, the crowd rising. Mackenzie Hawkesby advancing. Breaks left and anticlimactic as it goes out for a goal kick.
Well, built nicely. Hawkesby has come alive into the second half.
Well, another sub in the offing here for Sydney FC. Laurianne Moyes, the Canadian-raised one-cap Haitian international. She's arrived from Laval in the Montreal League, so not the Canadian National League. She's gone to college at South Alabama most recently, and she's coming on here for Mackenzie Hawkesby, so here comes Moyes. Good shift from Hawkesby. And Laurianne Moyes. A bit of mystery about what she can do in this league. Hoping to make an impact with 5 minutes to go. The Paramount Plus Player Index has a couple of the goal scorers right at the top, with Sarah Hunter coming in at third, and then Taylor Otto rounding out the top 5. That's the Paramount Plus Player Index. So, Grace, call it. Do you think we get a winner in these last 4 minutes plus stoppage?
It's starting to come down to that time in the game where coaches look at, is a point worthwhile just holding onto? This game has goals in it if a team wants to gamble a little risk-reward.
Maybe this is Sydney's chance right here to commit some numbers forward. Ukekel. Moyes waiting at the back stick. Ukekel takes on Otto. Caspers. Well, didn't get the ball. Did get Rebecca Stott. Foul given.
That built really nicely for Sydney. Stott on the spot, as she so often is. It's a good centering pass from Ukekel. And if Stott is not positioned well, that's a different outcome.
Now this is a special moment. Letitia McKenna comes off, but the player coming on, Danella Buttress. She's from the Iraqi community in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. They are going to be celebrating at Roxburgh Park United, her junior club. A heap of Iraqi community members, including a women's team that's really a breakthrough team, and she is their breakthrough player. Won the gold medal in NPL Victoria for the Bulleen Lions. Here's Keane looking for her second of the game, and Buttress will get involved. First touch off the bench for the teenager, swings it in. McNamara, first touch not quite there. Pearson able to clear, as does Fenton. Stott follows up. And rolling away is Hunter, clearing it to the safety of the touchline. So Melbourne City are trusting in the youngster here, 18-year-old Buttress, who scored 11 goals in 22 games for the Bulleen Lions and shared the medal with former Western United player Alex Sinclair as the best player in Victoria.
Well, a very warm welcome to the A-League for Danella Buttress.
Here she is involved again.
Yeah, tested early. And it's great to see when good performances from the NPL provide players the opportunity to step up into the national competition.
Even though she's played for Australia at under 17 level, the Iraqi community of Australia absolutely love and get around her. Here's Hunter. One ball here is going to find its way to Mires, who just has to be careful of the presence of Moyes, as does Stott with Caspers around. Fresh-legged Sydney substitutes, but Otto's not daunted. Veers past Talon Henniker. We're into the last 90 seconds of regulation. Are we going to get a winner? Perhaps the game deserves one. A draw might be a bit anticlimactic to start the season. I don't think either coach is satisfied with it either. Both teams have got attacking players on, looking for a way through. It's not like either side is sitting back and settling for the draw. Apostolakis, Buttress, and Fenton right there guarding it. The other thing to watch with Buttress, very good at reading the ball in the air, can hit a mean volley if she gets a chance. And that ball is going to slide out for a Melbourne City throw. They stay on the attack in the last minute of the 90.
similar to the end of the first half. City with the lion's share of possession as the half wore on, and it was late in that first half. Shelby McMahon just needed a little glimpse of an opportunity.
Tangle in midfield, the ball spills, and off the head of Turner. Follow up from Moyes, dispossessed by Otto. Uchendu, a quick head check for what's on ahead of the ball. Keane sprinting forward at the end of the afternoon. Tried to squeeze it through to McNamara, but the defenders saw it coming. Turner, Uchendu. Now McMahon. 4 additional minutes signalled to end this round 1 contest.
Michael Matriciani well out of his technical area, imploring his team to go forward. He wants to try and find this winner.
McMahon is going to shoot from distance, and Robertson takes all the sting out of the shot.
Well, you mentioned her goal-scoring prowess with the under-20s earlier, Teo, and Shelby McMahon is well and truly capable, has that one in her locker.
Caspers looking for Moyes. Moyes fashions a header, and it's parried out for a corner. Lauriane Moyes with the element of surprise, and Milena Mires is able to keep it out of the net.
Well, clever, really clever, and I love the early ball from Maddie Caspers. Difficult one to defend, and Moyes unexpectedly glances that on and almost catches Mires off her line. Just scrambling backwards. Big moment here.
Mackenzie Hawkesby's been subbed off, the regular corner taker, so Sarah Hunter takes over. Is this Sydney FC's moment to win it? Not with that corner, landing on the roof of the net.
Well, groans from the Sydney FC fans. Sarah Hunter looks back towards the skies into stoppage time.
Stott. McNamara, a little flick on. Uchendu. Now Buttress on the right. McNamara making ground in the middle. Buttress ironed out by Fenton. Throw in Melbourne City's way. Michael Matriciani encourages from the sideline. Urging his players to get in position and get forward. Can they grab a late winner? Half of stoppage time has expired. Uchendu. Apostolakis. And now McMahon's pass to Otto. Otto sees Keane at the edge of the box. 18 Keane. And now Laura Hughes stops and steers it back. Taylor Otto again. 18 Keane inside the box now. Sydney got to be careful, and Keane not able to keep possession. Ukekel, long, Moyes, a lone hand up top. McMahon back there helping out the defence, finds Buttress on the wing, and she's able to get the better of Fenton. Really clever by Buttress. And now Uchendu, the return ball. Buttress tried for the cross, and as the defender goes to ground, Matriciani on the sideline is adamant it was a handball, as is Buttress. And it's just a corner. Willa Pearson, the youngster, did she have a hand or an arm on the ball?
Well, first of all, really good give and go. We'll have a look as Pearson goes to ground. A little nick off the elbow is what the shout was coming from. But what an impact Buttress has had. Really lively, pushing forward, and certainly the Melbourne City bench thought as much.
I think the arm was tucked in against the body, but in the last minute, you'll shout for anything. They have a corner. Danielle Turner has whipped in some really dangerous corners today. Can this one prove to be a match winner? Attacking the near post, and McNamara, it was going wide. It's cleared off the post regardless, but it appeared to be bouncing off target. Chimeth might have cramped in getting that vital clearance away. No, she's all right, able to run it off. Only seconds to go. Both teams rising to the occasion at the conclusion of the match. Keane, is there one last shot on target? Can they manufacture something? Keane really clever, burns past Chumeth and wins a corner, but they won't have the time to take it. A 2-2 draw, Melbourne City left unsatisfied. 28 home and away games without defeat. And Sydney FC, they took the lead twice. See, Melbourne City, they thought they were a good chance to win this at the death. They leave disappointed with only a draw. Now, former Canberra teammates Asen and Keane are friends after the final whistle, and two determined combatants are shaking hands and saying, we'll see you in the second half of the season. What a debut from the 14-year-old Willa Pearson, the full 90, and a great showing from her. She'll be the talk of the Ninja A-League this week. And I tell you what, these two teams, they set a high standard. Have they both returned to contendership for this season? You'd have to say that on the evidence presented, we've been thoroughly entertained. Sydney FC 2, Melbourne City 2. Kat Haddad, down to you.
Thank you so much. Here with Willa Pearson. Willa, youngest person ever to debut for the A-Leagues. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm knackered at the moment, but yeah, it's amazing. Just thank you to everybody who believed in me, who gave me this opportunity to be able to do this, and I'm so thankful that we got away with it.